Father's Day. We are going to be in Genesis chapter 26. We're going to go back to the beginning for this message. And I don't get to normally teach Father's Day messages because I have 4 children and we were normally on a baseball field at this time of year, but I took a wedding this year not realizing that it was Father's Day, but it was an important wedding for me to do because it was a young man who grew up with Chandler in his grade, and they became friends, and they used to play basketball in our driveway, and our driveway is about 30 feet wide, so we have a really nice hoop and one of those really crappy hoops that all the kids love to dunk on, and they would play one-on-one, and I came out one time, and I'm like, what's the score? They're like, 2-1. I go, who's winning? They looked at each other and like, oh. So they had to start over. So I left, and I came back, and I go, hey, what's the score now? They're like, 3-2. I go, who's winning? They're like, oh. So it's just like, why do you guys keep score? You have no idea who's winning. Well, Chandler ended up being a basketball player. This guy ended up being a wrestler at the same time. But they played 1 year together, and it was the year that I coached. He came to know the Lord. His girlfriend is just one of the sweetest people we ever meet on this planet. And so I was very happy to take this wedding to be a part of it. But it brought me home to be here on Father's Day. So now the downside is that Deanna had to be away, so she's away with Nathan, and they're in Indianapolis, and she wants to be here. And they woke up today and they said, oh, by the way, the entire rest of the tournament's rained out, you can go home. So she's like, I got a sleeping teenager, I can't get there in time, so have good service. Now the good side is, remember we're going like father, like son, but it's also like father, like child, I guess we should also say, is that Becca had a game today and she chose to be here in church instead of going to her softball game. Let's give her a round. That's big, and I didn't press her. Because that's her mission field. You know, she gets a chance to love people and care for them right where they're at. But they sent me a text and said, it's really quiet here. That's all they said. That's between us, though. All right? So like father, like son. But this takes me back as a father to when Jacob was very, very small. And we had a discussion. And we had just moved into Manchester. And he was probably a little over 2 years old, between 2 and 3 years old. And one day he says, Dad, do you know what I want to be when I get older? And I'm like, no. He goes, well, here's what I want to do. He's like, I'm going to play baseball during the day, and then, I'm going to work during the day with you. I'm going to play baseball at night. And then on the weekends, on one day, I'm going to be a cop during the day, and then a fireman the next day. And then some of the days that I'm not working with you, I'm going to work with Grandpa and Uncle Rob, and I'm going to be a mechanic too. And so I start thinking about it. I goes, okay, so you want to work with me? Yeah. You want to work with Grandpa? Yeah. You want to work with Uncle Rob? Yeah. You want to be a police officer? Yeah. You want to be a fireman? Yeah. And you want to play baseball? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so are you going to have a family? He's like, well, yeah. I'm going to have a wife and kids. Why would I not do that? I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out your timing, your schedule. I'm like, I'm not putting pressure on you, because he's 2.5. I'm like, but you might have to give one of these up. And so he thought about it, and he could not give any of those things up. He wanted to do all those things. He wanted to serve others. He wanted to be with his family. He wanted to play the game that he loves. And it's funny because fast forward now he's 19, and I go, Jake, so what do you want to be when you get up? What do you want to be when you grow up? He's like, I have no idea. I don't know, what I want to do and where I want to go. Like, he's just kind of, taking classes and getting a degree and all those other kind of things. But it's great the innocence of a child and how they view things. But in his mind, he saw his dad. I want to spend time with my dad. I see my grandpa, and I want to spend time with my grandpa. And I see my Uncle Rob, and I want to spend time with my Uncle Rob. And I love baseball, so I want to play baseball. And I see what the police do, and I see how the firemen help people, and I want to do that too, and I want to help people. And so here's this child, and it's amazing the influence that people can have on him. And so for me as a dad, one of the goals that I have as a father is I want to point my kids to people that love the Lord, that love Him no matter what, and that have His best interests at heart. And throughout time, for all my kids, we've done a really good job of that for the most part. You get people like once in a while that maybe don't have those goals that are going in there, but you get a chance to love them. But for each one of us as dads, as uncles, as grandfathers, maybe sometimes as friends, like as a police officer and fireman, that he doesn't know any of those, we don't understand the influence that we have on younger people. I think many times because of that, we take it for granted. We don't realize that they're watching the words, or listening to the words that we say, that they're watching the actions that we take, how we treat people, and how we care for others, and how we might go out of our way, or how we might be completely rude. And so we're going to learn the lesson today around those things, because for every guy that's here, even if you don't have children, you are an influence. And just like God, like Father, like Son, that's the influence that we want to show. Because even though you might not have a child, some people will still look at you as that fatherly figure. It could be as a coach. It could be as someone that just shares wisdom. It could be as a teacher. It could be as a friend. It could be in whatever role you might be. Andy and I were talking before he came out with him playing guitar and singing up here. His kids, when he first started playing, they would rush the stage. And like sometimes if you get in the front, they start dancing. People are like, you gotta have those kids quit dancing. I'm like, why? But that's awesome. And they would go up to him and hug him, and it was funny because he'd almost be kind of embarrassed by it. He's like, it's okay, just go back, and everyone's looking kind of thing. But he handled it really well. Well, why do we want to stop a child in doing that? We want to help them. We want to teach them how to grow and love them and care for them right where they are. Because guess what? That's 1 week. And a year later, and another year later, and a year after that, is he making those choices? Are you making those choices? Am I making those choices so that when a child looks at you, they're going to say, I kind of want to be like that guy. I want to be more like that guy. So what are the decisions that we need to make as a dad to influence those children? What are the things that we need to learn to say to help them? What are the character traits that we need to take on? Because, as we all know, our kids are watching. And what we also know is that none of us are perfect. In fact, some of us aren't even close. And we're readily able to admit that. And yet, if we're here today, we also have that desire to do things God's way. And when we do things God's way, it's amazing the change that can take place. But at the same time, we're not going to be perfect. How do we learn from it? Well, the example we're going to look at today is with Abraham and Isaac. We're going to go all the way back to the very beginning, once again, with one of the earliest relationships known to man. And this is Abraham and Isaac. And Abraham has been told that he is going to be the father of all nations. And so now God is having a conversation with his son. And his son is Isaac. He is the child that was given to them in their old age. And so here they're having this discussion. And this is God talking to Isaac. And starting in verse 2, it says, the Lord appeared to Isaac and said, do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I will tell you to live. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. Notice that be. We talked about being a couple weeks ago. I will be with you and I will bless you. And so God, the first thing that he is saying to Isaac is, listen, don't go and choose Egypt. Instead, there's this wonderful land that I am going to give you, and I will be with you and I will bless you. Egypt is a symbol of the world. And so many times, especially as dads and as fathers, it's so easy to choose the world. And the reason it's easy to choose the world is because it's way easier. I can get lost in a bottle. I can get lost in a drink. I can get lost in a buzz. I can get lost in a high. I can get lost hanging out with friends. I can get lost in whatever it is I choose that is away from my children. And yet, even in that absence, our kids notice. And yet what God says to you, what God says to me as a dad is, I have so much more for you. I have so much more to offer you. I have this promised land for you. But you choose. Because in this promised land, I will be with you and I will bless you. Now, does that mean he's going to leave you if you choose the world? No. He says in his word, I will never leave you nor forsake you. But you make the choice every day, and I make the choice every day. Am I going to do the world's way? Am I going to choose Egypt? Or am I going to focus upon this blessing of this blessed promised land? As a believer, we have been promised heaven. We need to live as though we were already a resident there. Because this is the temporary time. But if we're going to live in such a way that we trust God, that he's going to be with us, and he's going to bless us, and that we already know that that's where we're going, when will we make the transition saying, you know what? This really hasn't been about me anyway. Others are watching. Others are noticing. Others are viewing. Others are listening. When will we make that transition? Because for each one of us, especially men, because our heads are thicker, it's medically proven, we have many times a wife, a spouse, a daughter, a son, a nephew, a neighbor, a team that's playing, whoever, whatever it might be, they are watching us. And when they see that we live as if we've already won, as if we already know that we've got this promise, this eternal promise for each one of us, they can't help but see something different in us. But it starts with us choosing the world or the Word. So this is a discussion. So the Lord is talking to Isaac, and he says, I will be with you and I will bless you, for to you, your descendants, I will give all these lands and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and will give them all these lands. And through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed me and kept my commandments, my commands, my decrees, and my laws. So Isaac stayed in, it's called, you pronounce it Gerar, whichever way that you want to pronounce it. But here's the thing. God came to speak to Abraham, and then God came to speak to Isaac on these same things. But Abraham's life was done in such a way so that Isaac could follow what it is, or what it was that his dad was doing. At some point, sometime, somebody has said to you or said to your son, you remind me so much of your dad. And there's times for teenagers, there's times for young people who are like, I don't want to hear that. And yet there's other times where it's like, oh my goodness, yeah, I get to be like my dad. Oh my goodness, they see my dad in me. That is such a great thing. I want to be like him. And then we go through like the teenage years, and it's kind of like, we kind of butt heads a little bit, and we don't realize how much we're alike. Then we get a little bit older, and all of a sudden we're going, oh my goodness, the things I'm saying are the things my dad said. Or the direction I'm taking is the direction my dad took. And the things my dad showed me are the things that I'm doing. And this that I learned, this trade that I learned, this skill that I learned, it was my dad that taught me those things. My son right now is working at a summer job, and there's a lot of things. He's 16 years old, and he thinks he can do anything. And the bottom line is, he can't. But he's learning. And so he has a father figure who's going, hey, go and do this, and go and fix this, and go pick this up. And he comes back and tells him, like, hey, what'd you do today? And he goes, oh, we shoveled poop. But that is so awesome. We don't have any poop here for you to shovel. I'm glad you're learning. He's like, yeah, he gives me just this cow ramp, and we knocked off all the poop, so we get this stuff down to the wood, and then put this wood on, and I don't even know what he's talking about. And then he told me like the coolest story. He was like, yeah, the family that had these chickens, and the chickens would stick their heads out of the little chicken coop, and then the dog would bite their heads off. I thought he was joking with me, but then the other guy I worked with shared the same thing with him. I'm like, okay, that's good. And he's learning. I'm not telling him. It's not dad telling him. It's not dad sharing with him. It's not dad showing him. But it's another fatherly figure that is showing him. And you know what? He loves the Lord. He loves him. He probably laughs at him a lot because he does a lot of dumb stuff. But he has his best interest at heart. He's trying to teach him. Guys, we don't know who they're watching sometimes, who they're talking to. But sometimes you're going to be talking to people in this world. But many times the major influence is you. You are still the biggest influence in their life. Are you having those conversations? Are you listening to the things that they're doing? Does it matter to you? The same son that I'm sharing you with ended up getting poison ivy, or poison oak, or one of those poisons that he didn't think he was allergic to. And so he's learning from it. And on the way home, he did the first that I believe for any of my kids, he got a speeding ticket. And so now he has to go before the judge because of the speeding ticket. But when he came back, he talked to us about it, he went through the whole thing, he was super upset. Guess what? That's life. So how do we handle that? When he walks in the door and says, Dad, I got to go before the judge, what do you think they're going to do? How would you respond to that? I just told him, I said, Nate, you're going to jail. You're not going to like jail. You've got really nice hair. You're really popular. Hey, have a good day. And I walk out of the room. Now, some dads are like, that's how I would handle it too. Then I came back and said, listen, you're going to go before the judge. We're going to have a discussion. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not a magistrate. I have no idea. I said, but we'll go in there together, and whatever the consequences are from it, those are from the choices you made, and we're going to deal with it. And I'm going to be right alongside of you. So I had some fun, and then, you put a little bit of fear in it, but at the same time, then go and talk about it. Now, I got to tell you something. Years ago, if that would have been Chandler, I probably would have yelled at him. I probably would have been like, you idiot, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? And so that leads us to the second part of this lesson. Is that we have to understand something, is that we all have flaws. Read verse 7. It says, when the men of that place asked him about his wife, he said, she is my sister, because he was afraid to say, she is my wife. He thought the men of this place might kill me on account of Rebekah because she is beautiful. So we know one thing. First thing is Isaac married a hot girl, right? Because that's what the teenage guys remember. Rebekah had to be hot. He knew that. When people looked at her, they would see it was beautiful. But Isaac wanted to protect himself. He was going to cover himself. He's like, you know what? Instead of saying that she's my wife, let's tell everyone that she's my sister. That way, I'll be protected. So there's a major flaw from Isaac. You know where Isaac got that flaw? If you go back in Genesis chapter 20, Abraham did the exact same thing. And too many times, Dad, we get stuck in the, oh, I've got to look out for myself, and I've got to worry about myself, and this is about me, and what I want to do, and all those things. They hit midlife crisis or whatever it might be, and all of a sudden they start worrying about me, and then they start worrying about how everyone is looking at us. Isaac had a flaw, and he learned that flaw from Abraham. So as we have these flaws, we can either try and cover them up and hide them, or we can talk to our kids about it. As I was saying earlier, if it would have been Chandler at that age coming in, 5 years ago, I would have been on after him, and I've been on him. And many times with Chandler, I hear him barking at times at other people, at his brothers and sisters. And I go, Chandler, stop barking. And I tell him, listen, that's a bad trait that you learned from me. I was a barker. If my name was Bob, I'd be Bob Barker. It was so stupid. It was a dad joke. This Father's Day, I get to do dad jokes. That's what Nathan would have said. That's a dad joke, okay? But I would bark at him. And the thing was, all of a sudden one day I heard Chandler barking, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I know that he gets it from me. And then it's at that point that all of a sudden you feel something searing your skin and your brain. You know what that is? That's your spouse looking at you. Because she knows that he got that from you. And so now I can make stuff up and go, but I'm falling on my sword. Man, I want you to do whatever you can to try and stop that. Because that's a flaw of mine. I really struggle with it. I struggle with it. All of a sudden, boom, I kind of escalate with things. I get loud about it. Hey, it's going to be my way. This is how things are going to happen. And whatever it might be. Men do that. I had these 19 things I had to do today, and now you're breaking into at number 7, and now I'm not getting these other 12 things done, so we bark, that kind of thing. We all do it. That's a flaw of mine. Tell your kids about those flaws. And then share with them, listen, I just don't want you to come down that same path. I want you to love your kids. I want you to lift your kids up. And it's tough. But when I see it and I hear it, I'm going to tell you. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you, guess what? You got that from your dad. And I didn't mean to do that. And I didn't realize it until I saw it in you. Isn't that crazy? You see this in your 18-year-old child? So it took you 18 years to figure it out. And you'll spend the rest of your life, most likely, trying to help them through it. Hopefully, if they listen and they learn from it, it won't cost them 18 years. So teenagers, that's why parents share those things with you. It's not because they hate you. It's not because, oh, you partied and you had fun, no, you don't want me to have fun kind of thing. No, it's because we know where it took us, and we're on both sides of it. We've seen the opposite side of what happens. And so we don't want you to make that mistake, or make an even worse mistake, or have even a bigger struggle. In fact, what we're trying to do is we're trying to show you eternally that you have a heavenly Father that you can turn to. And the choices that you make are choosing the world. We can talk about that through our flaws. We can talk about that through our mistakes. We can talk about that through our bad choices. And we can talk about that with our kids when we see them come out through them. Or we can choose the world, turn to a bottle, we can make a mistake, we can, hit that joint, we can go to that party, we can have fun at happy hour, we can just go golf, we can just pretend it never happened. We just push it under the rug. And then when it pops up again, we can do the same thing. It pops up again and do the same thing. Are we helping our kids? We all have flaws. You have them, I have them. But we all have them. Will we own up to them? Isaac did what he saw that Abraham do. It's been going on since the beginning of time. Fast forward to verse 23. Many times, though, what we will take is, oh, that's a negative. If you notice, I put the negative in the middle because I don't want you to leave with that negative. I want you to focus on something positive that we can all bring to the table. And the number 3 thing on here is really the first thing. Verse 23 says, From there he went up to Beersheba. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, 365 times in the Bible. We read it outside. You can remind you every single day. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and I will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. Whoa, whoa, why is he doing this? You know why I'm doing this, Isaac? Because your dad lived the way he lived. He chose to do the right things, even when it was difficult. He chose a time to rebuke people. He chose a time to teach people. He chose a time to correct people. He chose a time to love people because he was doing things my way. And I'm recognizing it through that. And you know what? Here's the thing. At the end of the day, he trained you because one day you'll be training someone else. So God shares that with me. The next verse it says, Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. So all of a sudden, he's building this altar. And he's built this altar in a place that, guess who built an altar there before? His dad did. And when his dad built that altar before, he was building this altar, and guess who he was going to sacrifice on that altar? His son. His dad trusted God so much that he built an altar to put his own son on it, and he was going to sacrifice his son for God. But God never intended that. He sent Isaac up the hill, and Isaac carried his own firewood. He didn't even know that he was carrying this wood to be the sacrifice. And his dad had to watch him walk every step of the way. But he's building this altar to sacrifice something to God. And it wasn't going to be a person. He wasn't going to take someone's life because of it. See, because God was going to do that later. He did that for you. He did that for me. But here's Isaac building this altar just as his father had built an altar. With all the promises that God had given him. And you know who was watching? Let's read on. It says, meanwhile, Abimelech had come to them. And by the way, some of these names are tough, and I try to get it right. I screw them up all over the place. So these guys come and they're watching Abimelech and says, why have you come to me? And Isaac asks him in verse 27, why have you come to me since you were hostile to me and sent me away? But hold on a second. You guys all hate me. See, you did your Philistine. You don't like me. You don't care for me. You said bad things about me. You didn't get your way and you ran. You took off and when we need you, we need to step together and do things that things you left. You walked out on your kids. You left your wife. You left your husband. You decided I wasn't good enough for you. You decided there was someone else out there that was better for you. You didn't want to be a dad. You didn't want to be a mom. You didn't want this kind of pressure. You didn't want these things upon you. And all of a sudden you're coming to me? I thought you were my enemy. I thought you didn't care about me. Why is it you're coming to me? And they answered in verse 28, we saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said, there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you that you will do us no harm, just as we did not molest you, but always treat you well and sent you away in peace. And now you are blessed by the Lord. Isaac then, so this is the next thing that happened, made a feast for them, and they ate and they drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other, and Isaac sent them on their way, and they left him in peace. That day, Isaac's servants came and told them about the well they dug. They said, we've found water. Anytime you find water, anywhere within the Bible, that means life. We found water. He called it Shabbat, and to this day, the name of the town has been Beersheba. So that last thing, we need to make sure that all times, and this is the most difficult, that we do the right things. Because not only are our kids watching, guys, not only are our spouses watching, not only are all the kids on the baseball team watching, or the soccer team, or whatever extracurricular thing that your kids love, whether it's dance, whatever it might be, who's watching? Your enemy. And your enemy is anybody that doesn't believe. And we need to love them. But at the same time, we don't need to chase them. Because they're watching. And at some point, sometime, they will choose whether or not to come back. Or they will choose to come to you. When the father watched the prodigal son walk away, he let him go. Didn't mean he didn't check for him on the horizon, but he knew he needed to have that time with God and put away whatever it was until he would come back. When the rich young man went before the Lord, he was like, I want everything that you have. God said just one thing. Jesus said one thing. You just got to put this one thing away. And then he let him go. See, you and I wouldn't do that. No, come back. We know that this is what God's Word says, but if you do these things and then we'll fix that one thing later. We'll make that one thing right. And it's difficult at times. But you have to let them go because that's their issue and it's not yours and it's not mine. But you have to notice they're watching you. And they're watching me. And they're seeing the choices that you're making. And dads, there's no greater blessing than that child that is watching you, because you at some point in some time will head into retirement and eternity. In retirement, hopefully with your spouse, into eternity whenever God chooses to take you. Who will you have handed it off to? Are you making the right choices according to God's Word? Are you choosing according to what God teaches? And are you doing so because you know eternity is in the balance? Dal shared this with me a while ago. We had to sit down because it was one of those things. I'll go through struggles at times, and I was like, man, Dallas, I can't seem to make the right decision. I'm going to have to pray about it. I've got great people around me. I have people that love me, that love the Lord, that have my best interests at heart. I love the Lord, and I love them, and I have their best interests at heart. It doesn't seem to matter. It just keeps happening and happening and happening. And he said, John, it's okay. Do the right thing. Live with integrity. Choose to have the highest of character. Know that at times you're going to have to rebuke, you're going to have to correct, you're going to have to teach. You're always going to have to love. But their choice that they make is their choice that they make. Do not waver. Isaac never wavered. He had a dad that always chose to do the right thing. Except that one time when he called his wife a sister, right? No, not just except that time. His desire was to always choose right. He didn't always choose to do so, but he wasn't afraid to live the way God intended him to live before others and before his children. So dads, three things as we head out today. Like father, like son. One, this goes for all guys. Make sure that you give them something to follow. That doesn't mean that whatever your job is, that they're going to do the same job. That your career path is not going to be the same career path. It doesn't mean that. If you give them something to follow because you're someone, and I'm someone, that lives here in the temporary, but already knows that he lives in the eternal. We've got to show that to our kids. Second thing is, you got flaws? I got flaws. There's a popular song out right now, you got issues, I got issues, we all got issues, right? I sing it, but I don't know how it goes. I just know you got issues and I got them too, and you're stupid, and something around with you, or two. I don't even know what it is, but I just know we've all got issues. So there we go. We all know we have issues. Don't rest in those issues, but don't run from them. Face them. And the last thing is, when you face those, then you and I need to choose to do the right thing, because you don't know when someone's going to come up. And this was the last thing that Dallas left to me. John, I had people come up to me that apologized to me that I thought I would never hear from again in my entire life. And they told me, here's the thing, Dallas. You didn't move when I wanted you to move. You didn't do things as fast as I wanted you to do them. You did things according, you kept saying Scripture, the Bible, and on and on and on, all that kind of thing. I realized one day that you're not going to make a decision unless you pray about it. You're not going to make a decision unless it's biblically based. And so you're following God's path. I get it now. He said they apologized to him, but guess what? They got it before they moved to the eternal. So in everything, at the end of the day, choose to do the right thing. Because a 2 or 3-year-old one day might want to be just like you. And a 12 or 13-year-old that didn't want to be like you, one day is going to be saying the things that he never thought he would say. And then those kids of yours that don't have kids, one day they're going to have them, and they're going to go, how in the world did you do this? And through all those times, you're going to be able to have a choice and a time where you get to choose to do the right thing. Like Father, like Son. If you'd all bow your heads, please, so we can say a word of prayer as the praise team's coming out. Our prayer for you today is that you'll just focus upon your identity as a child of God. Because even though this message was for the dads, even though this message was for the men, guys, we're those spiritual leaders that we need to step up because it is so needed in this world. So guys, I just challenge you right now, right where you sit. Would you ask yourself, am I making a path that others can follow based on what God has had me do? Do I understand the fact that I have flaws, and I can face them? They're not that big. When I talk about them, it's amazing how they get handled. But at the end of the day, that I'm going to be the one to choose to do the right thing. Ladies, if you're sitting next to your husband today, you have children, they can't be a dad without you. They also can't be a husband without you. Would you lift them up? Would you pray for them? Would you turn them over to God daily? Don't remind them of those flaws, but when they do come up, to talk to them in love, to share those. But don't leave with that. Remind them at the end that, you know what, there's so many wonderful things you can do, and let's celebrate.